Let's see.
Yep, we're live.
Oh, we're live. Oh, it didn't give us the count this time.
Did you want me to put it down quickly, or do you want to just cut to the chase?
Nah, too late. It's already started.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how that happened, but whatever. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to our horror podcast. Here once again with my good friend Nick Delay. And well, I know that we promised that we said that we wanted to look into season 2 of Stranger Things, but we just got to wait we're just going to delay that for a little bit because Nick still has to get all caught up. So, well, we will get to it. Do not worry. So, but this week we wanted to, Jeremy. But this week we wanted to look at one of our favorite horror franchises, one of our favorite slasher franchises, Friday the 13th, which started in 1980 and has been going on until I think the last one was from 2009 when they did that remake.
Yep, it was.
Yeah. So it's been a while since we've seen Jason roaming around and cutting down some teens. So
they've been trying to make a new one over the last couple of years, but they just haven't had the chance because of either budgetary reasons or because they're involved in other film projects. I mean, there's tons of reasons why they haven't been able to make another one since 2009. So Jeremy here says Friday has been quite the series to say the least. Let me put that banner up. Whoever this is, you got to give StreamYard permission to let us see your name. I'm going to put that here's the link for it, so that way we could see you guys eventually. This will help you out.
Yeah, cute
banner. He knew exactly what I was talking about.
So I have been hearing about that reboot that they've been.
Oh, it's Joanne. She lives out in Canada.
Hello, Joanne. Good. Thank you for joining us. And so Nick, like I was about to say, they been trying to get a Friday the 13th reboot of it off the ground for a while now. And what's interesting about it is this one that they're trying to make. It takes place around winter time. So Jason going after people in snow. So that's a new one.
That's definitely new because you don't really see that with previous movies because oftentimes the movies often usually take place during the summer.
Exactly.
So that's what's kind of a little bit unusual about this.
Oh yeah, taking place during the time of summer camp, which is exactly where this franchise started in.
Exactly.
In, Camp Crystal Lake in I'm not sure they ever say what state this fictional camp in town takes place in. Do they?
No, you know what? Actually, now that you mention that, no, they never have revealed like what state it is. I mean, you would think to yourself, like, I mean, it takes place somewhere well, it's hard to say. Some of the appearances makes it look like that it takes place like in the East Coast or the West Coast areas, but I've always kind of looked more as the East Coastern areas. Although in reality, of course, like the first one, for example, was actually filmed in New Jersey. Yeah. So obviously, at least the first one actually got it right, but they never actually said what state it takes place in.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, there's tons of crystal lakes all across the country. So
yeah, we got a crystal lake here in Illinois. Well, not a camp, but it's a name of a town.
Yeah, well, they did have a town called Crystal Lake in Friday the 13th franchise. So
that is true.
Okay. Oh, I said Ice isn't going to kill Jason. Jason actually proved that.
That is true.
Yeah, being cryogenically frozen for hundreds of years did nothing to him.
Yeah.
Just let it lay down for a nap.
He's unstoppable. It's East Coast New Jersey because in 8, they get on the ship for the short trip from Camp Crystal Lake to New York City. Yes, that is true.
I can see
it does take it's Manhattan film.
Manhattan, yes. It seems okay. Hey, hello Santiago. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, we're just discussing Friday the 13th, and we've been talking about so far like the supposed location it takes place in, and we're thinking like East Coast because of the whole thing to New York. And
there's Joanne now. Now you can see her.
Now we can see you. Yes. And Nick, it seems like Jason like just goes just about everywhere. Like if it's not Crystal Lake, he's going to New York, and then he's going to space in the future.
Yeah, I know. He's going everywhere.
Wow. Yeah, Jason X really went off the rails on that one.
Well, Emily, I got to say, we appreciate you tuning in, and happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And
she has a show of her own that she does, Emily Mentel. She actually used to be on the old network we were a part of, and but she does a show of her own that's on the Manifest Network as well as RU Media Network. So she lives down in Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky. I went to school in Kentucky, Western Kentucky University, where I got my bachelor's degree in film. So it's a great state. Great state.
Oh, wait. Friday the oh, hang on a second. I was going to show that one. Friday the 13th is my birthday. March 13th, not today. Should have been more specific.
Listen, we were thinking about having this this discussion, this episode, on either have it as our Friday the 13th franchise as our 13th episode, or have it screened like on a 13th date. But yeah, we couldn't wait that long. We decided to go with this.
Yeah. Oh shit. Jeremy said he would like to have Emily on the Things Network at some point. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm afraid of horror movies. I avoid watching them. And hey, don't worry, it's not they're not for everyone. Like especially with what I've seen. I mean, take it from me. I've seen things that I've seen things at a very young age, like 5 years old, things that would give adult nightmares.
I mean, that would be frightening for just about anybody for that age, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different with horror films. I started off so young, and I was hardly ever affected by it. I know, I'm weird. What?
Oh no, it's because of this. Emily's saying, "You're gonna pay me?" Just kidding. Then Jeremy's like, "Pay you in tacos."
Wow. Anyway, so yeah, the first film was
What's up, Jill?
Jill.
Sorry, you remember Jill.
Yes, I remember Jill. Hello, thank you for tuning in. So Friday the 13th was released in 1980. It was directed by Sean S. Cunningham, directed by Victor Miller. And the premise of it is like a summer camp that's abandoned because of there have been a boy drowning in 1957, a murder of a camp counselor couple in the very next year, and then talks of arson and like having bad water. I'm guessing by bad water they mean poisoning.
Yeah, it was involving that kind of issue, and it went on. I remember from the local that talks the story saying I think it was like around 1962. I think it was when it eventually just shut down immediately because of all the issues that were going on there.
And by issues, you mean sabotage.
Sabotage issues.
Yeah, so it's perfect. It was perfectly clear that someone did not want this camp to reopen after what happened with the drowning, and so they get a bunch of new counselors to get the camp up and running again. One of the counselors is played by Kevin Bacon. This was in his very second film. The first film that he started before that was Animal House, when he played a big part in that.
Right.
Yeah. So, and he was like in his early 20s back then. So he's come along. He's with what he's done since then. With Footloose in 1984. His career just going straight uphill from there. It's just amazing seeing.
Yeah.
Seeing actors get an early start in horror films that become iconic in the future, and then you look back on them, it's just wow.
What I always find amazing with Friday the 13th is that, especially the first Friday the 13th, it really kind of helped set the stage what eventually became the slasher craze of the early to mid 1980s.
Yes.
Get this. This is an interesting question from Emily. Do you think they started to create these murder horror camp ideas from the Girl Scout camp murders of 1977?
They very well could have. Like
you heard of that before, Don? Because
I think so.
I don't think I have actually. I mean, well, maybe I had, but it may have just been a long time ago that I've heard about it.
I mean, I've heard my share of horror stories when it comes to summer camps. You look at the stories about Cropsy Maniac and about murders and whatnot. So there's plenty of things that could have been easily inspired Friday the 13th.
I decided to look it up. Okay, this is surprising. I have never heard about this. They're actually known as the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. It was three Girl Scouts that were murdered. Yikes.
Jesus.
It doesn't say anything. Well, wait, it says legacy. So let's see what.
Yeah, it says still unsolved, so they never caught.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it still is. Still is on the Wikipedia page.
And they never caught who did it.
So just to give a short perspective, the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders is an officially unsolved murder case that occurred on the morning of June 13th, 1977 at Camp Scott in Mays County, Oklahoma. The victims were three Girl Scouts between the ages of 8 and 10 who were raped and murdered. Their bodies have been left on a trail leading to the showers about 150 yards from their tent at summer camp. The case was classified as solved when Jean Leroy Hart, a local jail escapee with a history of violence, was arrested. However, Hart was acquitted in March 1979 after a jury unanimously returned a verdict of not guilty. Although, interestingly enough, it says here, in 2022, it was announced that DNA testing in the case, although officially inconclusive, strongly suggests Hart's involvement in the crime. The only other thing I'll just say here is less than 2 months before the murders, during an on-site training session, a counselor at Camp Scott discovered that her belongings had been ransacked and her donuts had been stolen. Inside the empty donut box was a handwritten note stating in capital letters, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls in tent 1." The director of that camp session treated the note as a prank, and it was discarded. But it
obviously wasn't. This guy was not playing any jokes. He was serious with what he wanted to do.
Oh yeah, I mean, and now that they're saying that this year, that they may have found some DNA testing, that might suggest this guy's involvement. Regardless, it was they weren't playing around.
Yeah, Jesus.
Did we turn the Friday the 13th into conspiracy? Yeah. June 13th was a Monday, though, that Jeremy said.
Oh, you mean like in the movie, the June 13th, 1980? Yeah, I think I actually read somewhere that the date in the film was inaccurate.
I think he was talking about the Girl Scout murders.
Oh, the Girl Scout.
Because it happened on June 13th, 1977. Yeah, see, he said, June 13th, 1977 was a Monday.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, Brad? Good to see you.
Welcome. So, so Friday the 13th was based on a true story. It may very well have been. It may have been based on a true story, and also these myths that people come up with as far as summer camp. With Cropsy Maniac.
Yeah, there's like we were just saying, there's a number of different ideas of where Friday the 13th may have came from, because in the reality is, even though for the most part it's not really a true story, the scariest part is that things like that have truly happened in the past. And yes, June 13th, 1980 was a Friday.
Yep, that's true. And like I mentioned, right when there's someone out there that wanted that did not want Camp Crystal Lake to be reopened and was willing to do just about anything to keep it shut down, including murder. So
it's like just people who go to extreme measures to keep it closed.
Yeah, it involves some. Because this film does feature some particularly brutal killings, such as one of the most brutal ones I've seen was when the girl Marcy took an axe right to the face.
Oh, that was awesome! I love that. That was. I mean, it's horrible, but I love the gore in that movie.
As gruesome as that was, I do love the practical effects that went into it, which, by the way, were done by Tom Savini, I believe.
Yes, it was the legendary Tom Savini, who we're familiar with the fact that he's done other films like Dawn of the Dead just 2 years earlier. What else did he worked on a lot of movies. And then of course, many years later, he directed the remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Yep, that one I'm fond of. I felt like the Night of the Living Dead remake was from 1990. I felt like it was underrated because those effects that they did in that were amazing. Those actually looked like walking corpses as compared.
They really did a good job.
I mean, not to say that I dislike the original classic. It'll always have a place in my heart. But seeing those zombies in that remake, just absolutely phenomenal. Seriously, like if The Walking Dead, if that show had been made back then, I feel like that's what the zombies would have looked like.
they probably would have. And let's not forget one other movie that Tom Savini worked on. He also made a brief appearance near the end of it, Creepshow.
Yep, I was just mentioning that. Creepshow.
Yep. So we thought the movie was set in 79. I think it is. Yeah, wasn't it set in 1979?
Some people are saying 1979. Some people are saying 1980.
Well, truth be told, like a lot of movies, a lot of movies are usually filmed the year before. So it probably was actually shot in 1979, but wasn't, released until 1980. So I would assume most likely it would have been set in the present era, 79.
Yes. And one of the most iconic aspects of the I'm just looking for it right here. One of the most what is it?
I do think Jason could be Sloth from Goonies. The final chapter was in 1984, and Goonies was 1985. And daggone, Corey Feldman was in both. Just saying.
Corey Feldman was in both. Yeah, like Corey Feldman, he was like one of the biggest child actors of the 80s. He was in both those films. He was in Gremlins. He was in Stand By Me. He was in The Lost Boys.
He was the typical child actor He was basically the child actor of the 1980s.
Yes, he's the one child actor that every film wanted to have.
Exactly. And I'm sure there were many other film projects that were supposed to have him in, but he never got the chance because he was already involved with a lot of those movies.
Oh, yeah. And what?
It was based off the Girl Scout murders. It might.
We were just.
I'll have to look that up to see if there's any connection to that later.
Yeah, maybe I definitely should look at that myself. Also, wanted to point out that one of the biggest
Sorry, I hear footsteps upstairs, and my mom was going out to a concert.
Okay.
Who's up there? Oh, I thought you were out. I thought you were going out. Oh, okay. Sorry, that freaked me out a little bit. Like, wait a second, who's upstairs? It's just my mom. Sorry, go ahead, Don. Go ahead.
Did you just hear me?
What was that?
I just said.
You can't go wrong with that.
Oh, you know what I should mention? Like one thing I wanted to what I was about to say. Remember, how the Jason sound effects, the ones that are thrown into like the scenes where it gets really suspenseful, the music builds up, and you just hear that. Well, I actually looked into it, and the person who created those sound effects, this composer that has worked with horror films, many horror films, Harry Manfred. Let me see. What was his name? Harry Manfred.
Harry Manfred. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, and he actually intended for this to be when he was asked about in an interview about the way that sounded, he said that was wrong because it was like when he composed that it was pronounced ke ma ma in reference to Jason telling his mom inside of her head to commit the murders, to kill.
Exactly.
Which brings me to this. The killer in the original Friday the 13th was not Jason. It was, in fact, Jason's mother, who was outraged at how blaming the camp counselors for Jason's death, saying, they were just more focused on each other, rather than watching over the kids, and blamed them for negligence, saying that Jason had drowned and died because of that.
Exactly. And that's the thing, even to this day, what some people fail to realize. And I mean, I could see a lot of us, including those in the chat, have seen Friday the 13th. So I think we all know, obviously, that what's so great about Friday the 13th is that, like you said, Jason is not the killer. After all, it was about a mom who loved her son so much that she would kill for him. And but yeah, did you ever hear the effect of how they did? Well, like how you explained the echoes, like
I'm not sure if I knew 100% how they did the sound effect, but
well, it was actually really simple of how they done it. Now, the guy who basically did the voice, it was kind of an accidental kind of thing. He probably was like in front of a microphone or something like that, and he just I think he tried saying, he might have said something either intentionally or accidentally. And how the way with some microphones, when you speak in it, it'll deliver. If there's like a speaker nearby, it will usually give the that echo effect. So he basically, said like words like, and then all of a sudden that echo, he's like, wow, that's actually kind of spooky, in fact. So yeah, that's the thing, like you just said. And it's like what Emily said too, saying kill and ma, like kill ma. But when they started filming, he would only pronounce the first like uses of the words. It would be, and then all of a sudden when he spoke into that microphone, it would echo and hear. Yeah, that's exactly how they did it.
That sounded, and then like over the years, people just thought it was.
Yeah, and that's almost like basically any type of anything you associate with Friday the 13th. You just cannot go without that noise. I mean, it's basically that's almost like the theme of Friday the 13th itself. Yeah. It's a pretty well-known sound in the franchise.
Yeah, one of the most iconic aspects of the film, and it was founded by accident, and also people were pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, and Jeremy makes it. He's got a point here. A lot of brilliant, iconic things came by accident.
Yes. And let's see.
Sorry, I was getting that comment up.
My subscriber here. One of my subscribers, Billy. Hello, Billy. Thank you for joining us. Says Corey Feldman was also the voice of Donatello in the live-action TMNT movie. Yep, absolutely true. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie from 1990. Yeah, that's and I always made fun of that. Yeah, I always made fun of that film because of how what was his name? Hold on, let me look this up. Hang on, it's been a while since.
As you're looking that up, I'm going to show Emily's comment. Saw TMNT in concert with Vanilla Ice.
Oh,
wow.
Let me see. Hang on. Oh yeah, Casey Jones. The character Casey Jones. I always made fun of him because he always wore that hockey mask, and you know how TMNT takes place in New York, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So when he appears in the film, I'm just like, oh my god, Jason's taking Manhattan again.
Man, he just loves Manhattan. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah, I've been to New York myself, and lots of traffic, but has beautiful sights. I will say that.
Well, if you remember, too, Jeremy and I were just in New York a couple of weeks ago, but more out on the mountain and hillsides of upstate New York. So that could have been very well a good territory for a mass killer.
Yeah. Anyway,
got about Vanilla Ice. My brother told me it was there.
Yeah. I also should mention, what was his name? Jim Henson, the creator of the Muppets. Obviously, big icon.
Yeah, of course.
He was responsible for the effects for the turtles in that film, TMNT.
Oh, is that right? Really?
Yes. And to my knowledge, I believe that was one of the, if not the last film that he and his company had worked on before his death in 1990.
It does sound like right around that time, like that would have been one of his last film projects.
Oh yes. And what was I going to say? Oh, I did have this one theory about Jason, about how, what happened, at his apparent drowning in the first film, because they actually, I actually believe that he did not, in fact, drown. He actually survived, washed up somewhere in the woods, that has been living off of the woods ever since, which would explain the whole shack that he had in part 2. The kid, he's been living there the whole time. And the reason why I believe that is because everybody throughout the film, throughout the first film, said that they claimed that he had drowned, but yet they never found his body.
That is true. It's and it almost gives you those second thoughts, of how his own mother went to a killing spree without ever finding any proof that his son had actually died. So it's amazing to me how, even whether you have the evidence or not, especially if you're, the parent of a kid, who really needs to be watched, it will drive just about anyone insane.
Oh yeah.
And actually, what was once a luxurious and very fun campsite for your kids to go to, all of a sudden is a place that literally comes with all these murders. It literally comes almost like that out of a nightmare.
Yes, very true. And what I wanted to mention about this one thing about Jason as a kid. We've seen like what he looks like when he was like his face all deformed and like growths or something.
Yeah, he looks deformed.
Yeah, I think I do like have an explanation for why that is. They like. I think it like, could be due to some kind of a medical condition. Like there's this one condition I did find that was that has like kind of a similar effect physically. This thing called what was that called? Hydrocephalus, which
Hydrocephalus, water in the brain,
which causes brain fluid buildup, which can cause brain damage and severe swelling on the head. I think that's what Jason had.
It might have been, and Don, I've told you about this before. I mean, although this isn't fully connected with Friday the 13th, actually it's more similar to another horror film, Hills Have Eyes. That's kind of based on the Melonheads stories. I've told you the Melonheads. They say that they're these human-like creatures that have these large heads, and it was believed that they had hydrocephalus in them. So I don't think, in my opinion, that Friday the 13th itself, got it from that idea, because obviously the Melonheads, they're like, it's a different story, but it's interesting. It's almost like as if it was like a nod to that legend almost. Well, not a nod to that legend, but the fact that they added, hydrocephalus as a possible deformity for Jason. In my opinion, I think that's probably just more of a coincidence. Not, in other words, I don't think it's based on the Melonheads legend. Jason Takes Manhattan, I heard, was a really great film.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's not as good as the first one. It's still memorable in some aspects.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, Don. Yep. That, I think, is the only Friday the 13th I think I have not seen. I've seen all the other ones except that one.
Lucky you. Lucky you, I have all of them. So, yeah.
Okay, so in that case, next time you're over, you're going to have to show that to me so I can finally have this completed. I should have had it done a long time. I've seen the trailer for it, but I have not seen it. Listening to... All right. Oh, Taco Tuesday. Nice.
There you go.
Oh, but Jeremy here says Jason Takes Manhattan was his favorite until Jason X came out.
Oh, yeah. Jason X was pretty unique in many ways. It's like having that outer, that space setting. Yeah,
like a sci-fi kind of theme.
To
me, it was more it was more sci-fi than horror. I mean, there was still some dark moments, but I thought it kind of looked more like a sci-fi movie than a horror film itself.
Yes, it did. It's where I felt like they really went off the rails on that one. And having Jason but captured, which is something I'm having a hard time picturing because this is like when this is when Jason had further become superhuman throughout the series, and where they've spent 2 years since capturing him, trying to execute him in every possible way, but he just won't die. So they try to freeze him till they can figure out what to do with him. But then Cronenberg steps in. Yeah, did you know that, Nick? That David Cronenberg was a cameo in that.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, you know me, I'm a huge fan of David Cronenberg's work, so I didn't know David Cronenberg had a role of any type involved with Jason X.
Yeah, he played I guess in the main character's boss in the film who wanted to transport Jason to another facility. This is right in the opening sequence. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I gotta say, transporting Jason, that just seems like a very bad idea.
It's basically a disaster or murder spree waiting to happen. I'll just put it that way.
It's like you're trying to do what you want with total disregard for the lives of others.
Exactly. Now, Jeremy says Jason X is more believable than Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, Jason Goes to Hell was pretty goofy.
It just, it's like, to me, it seemed like they were trying, but they were not trying at the same time. Like, it kind of, to me, on certain occasions, just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, they were I don't know. They were pretty throwing in this vague explanation as to why everything's happening. Like inside when they showed like Jason's childhood home, like there was this room that had, believe it or not, that I still can't believe they had this, the Necronomicon from Evil Dead.
I know. Like, what the hell was that all about?
I'm like, what is that doing in this movie? Why is that
wrong movie? Well, though, it would have been cool if they did have like Bruce Campbell like make a cameo appearance or something like that, and him saying his classic line, "Groovy." That would have, I will say, that would have been awesome if they did that. But here's a trivia fact: did you know that near the end of the movie, when Jason is actually back and he's fighting the guy out in that playground area, that park area, you know what that park was known for, right? Not just for the filming of that movie. It was also famous for another movie. Do you know what that movie is?
I'm trying to think. That playground.
I'll give you a hint.
I don't know. It looked familiar.
You don't know? You want me to tell you then?
Sure, go ahead.
It was the same park that just 30 years before, because Jason Goes to Hell came out in 1993. It was the same park that just 30 years before, in 1963, was the same park where they shot Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. When the birds were all gathering up at the park, that was the same one. That was the same park.
Very same park. Wow.
Very same park. Might have been some differences in the last 30 years, but it was the very same park.
How did I miss that?
Yeah, like, well, it's different because that takes, unlike The Birds, Jason Goes to Hell. That scene takes place at night, so you wouldn't be able to really recognize it probably unless you saw it during the day.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay. Not sure if there will be another Friday the 13th movie because Victor Miller won the rights of the movie back. Oh yeah, he got it back, and its characters, and was not a fan of Jason being the killer.
Well, how are you going to do Friday the 13th without Jason then?
Yeah, and not to mention that the original killer, his mom is dead. So
yeah,
not sure how you're going to pull that off. Oh, speaking of which, I wanted to go over like how that film ended, like right when finally we got the final girl. We've got Alice fighting off and Jason's mother, and just gets a hold of her machete, cuts her head off, and apparently, like, there's a legend that Jason had witnessed that, and then 2 months later went after Alice, sticking that ice pick in her head.
The ice pick, yeah. Emily has a good. I forgot about this. Emily said she had to look this up a few minutes ago. There is a true fear of Friday the 13th. It's called Parascadiva decatriophobia. Say that 3 times. It is such a long ass name, but that is the actual term for fear of Friday the 13th. Parascadiva. I cannot even. I used to say it, but it's been a while.
Okay, love Bruce Campbell. He's in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Very true. And Evil Dead series since the 80s was another horror series with Robert and Robert Davi called Maniac Cop. I have yet to see Maniac Cop, but I hear it's like I hear it's worth seeing. So yeah,
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Sam Raimi. And the reason why Sam Raimi had Bruce Campbell in his movies is because they were friends since high school.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that whenever you have a particular actor that appears in a lot of your films, for a fact that they're probably close friends.
Oh yeah, just like with Tim Burton and Johnny Depp.
Right. Victor created the whole thing, and his version was only just the one movie. Jason is dead, and Mrs. Voorhees is the killer. When she died at the end of the film, the whole Jason popping out of the water was just a joke to scare the audience.
That is true. Victor did want Friday the 13th to be a standalone film. So it's like, okay, so you have the rights now, but what now? If you want that to be a standalone film, you're not really going to do much with the rights currently. I mean,
well, the other thing too about it is, although he's not making this film, actually, I don't even know if you knew this. Years ago, there actually was meant to be a television series that was going to be made. I think it was actually going to be produced by the CW channel. Unfortunately, of course, now, as you could very well imagine, the project has since been canceled. But what the and this Friday the 13th television series that they were trying to put together, it was not like, because of course, as we all know, there was also supposedly a television series of Friday the 13th back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, but in spite of the title, it had nothing to do with Jason whatsoever. This was going to be a series where they were going to focus on Jason, and from what I remember hearing was the show was going to continue on the tradition of Jason, brutally murdering, troubling teenagers and whatnot, or those camping at Camp Crystal Lake. But they were also going to go as it wasn't just going to be that. They were actually going to explore more of Jason's history. Like, because we know, like, for example, we already knew, for example, who his mother was, but we never found out, like, who his father was, if he had the, like, grandparents or ancestors before him who were, like, in other words, almost like exploring if there was, like, madness within the Voorhees family long before Jason kind of took the torch, if you will.
Right. And, like, the only thing I do know about Jason's father is his name is Elias Voorhees, which was mentioned in Jason Goes to Hell.
Right, and that's the only time you ever hear about him. There's no other background information about who his father was. His father was Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Yeah, well, Jason came out first. Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, didn't come out until 1984.
Yep. Oh yeah, and oh yeah, and there was something else I wanted to say about the second film where we finally get where Jason is the killer. But one of the most iconic element and like aspects about Jason is the hockey mask, right? Well,
let me just grab something really quickly. Hang on, I got something for it.
Okay.
You talking about this?
Yeah. I always love that thing.
Yeah.
But, right. Well, in this part two, like I said, in part two, he did not have the hockey mask. Instead, it was a like a potato sack, like a burlap sack, or
it was a pillowcase. So it was either a potato sack or a pillowcase over his head.
Something like that. It was that
for his eye
with an eye hole cut out. And he constantly wears this mask to hide his deformed face. And
missing the notch in the mask.
Yep. And it wasn't until part 3 where he finally donned the hockey mask after he took it from one of his victims, the prankster Shelley, who decided it was a good idea to prank the girl that he liked by grabbing her while wearing a hockey mask and having a spear gun.
Which is just like, what the hell, man? Like, you're just waiting for an accident to happen. And Jeremy, he got it correct. It was a burlap sack that he was wearing.
Burlap sack. Okay.
So but it's funny. It's like what originally, in this case, like with the mask, what originally intended to just be like his way to hide his deformities, almost like originally you would think it would just be like a temporary thing that he would wear on his face, eventually became another huge trademark in Friday the 13th.
Oh, yes. And in part 3, ever since he always wore that mask, which went through all sorts of changes throughout the series, such as the very end of the film when the final girl, Chris, where she just drove that axe right into his head and left the chip inside the top corner of the mask, which has been consistent, which they've consistently had throughout the series since. But
this one doesn't have that. Obviously, it's like when the mask was like first introduced. So what I love about when they leave that crack in it is like it almost has like a scar-like appearance, like it's an irreparable injury that he has, and it remains on the mask for the rest of the series, even though we never hear from Chris in the third movie ever again, but that mark always still stays.
Except that's not entirely true. There was in the beginning of final chapter, we do briefly see Chris like hugging like her parents in like one scene. Yep. It's very brief. It's like very, very brief. It only lasts for like 2 seconds.
That is true. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I thought actually on second thought, I think we did see him at one point. Let's see here. The burlap sacks were used as Halloween masks in the past, where they would make their own costumes to trick or treat through too. Okay, so that little symbolism there.
Yeah.
He said, this is true. Friday the 13th Part 3 wasn't bad. It was just annoying how they were very blatantly tried too hard for the 3D aspects.
Totally agree with you on that. Like I said in the previous video when we were talking about Jaws 3D, which is released around the same time as Friday the 13th Part 3, I felt like 3D was just like a cheap gimmick that people were just using in horror films. I mean, it doesn't really add much to anything.
And then not to mention, you also had, like I said, Amityville 3D. That was another one that came out the same year. It was like 1980. It was almost like as if for any horror film franchise that was going up to Part 3, they thought, well, what better could it be than release it in the year 1983 and have it in 3D when people tried using 3D glasses, and for the most part, it didn't even work. It was like they were just obviously trying to do this to get, more attention for their films.
Yeah, it's very true. And well, I will say this, like the mask for the most part has much consistencies. I noticed quite a few inconsistencies as far as Jason's appearance. Like you know how in Part 2 where he has hair, right? When they unmask him. In Part 3, he's bald.
Yeah, he's completely bald, and he's like that for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and this Part 3 takes place like immediately after the events of Part 2. So like, what happened to his hair?
Yeah, that's what I've always wondered for the longest time. And most importantly, I mean, I know, of course, he also not only does he lose his hair, you can kind of say, I mean, in addition to getting the masks, it's like he's changing, he changed like his entire appearance. Like, understandably, it was probably due to the result of trying to heal from his injuries in the last movie. But you remember he had the appearance of almost like a backwoods farmer, almost like he was wearing like farming clothes. And then from Part 3 and forward, he was wearing like these almost miner like black clothes that he was wearing, almost almost like that of a miner, if you will.
Yep, that I noticed. Yes.
One actor even looked straight into the camera to make sure he had the pole pointed straight at the camera.
Yeah,
he's prepping for sloth.
Nice. But and also Part 3 had some pretty dumb characters aside from Shelley. Like there was this one subplot in the film where this couple, Andy and what was her name? There was this one other character, but Andy and his girlfriend, they were expecting a kid, and like there was one point where he offers her like marijuana where they were trying to hide it because they thought they were getting pulled over by cops.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and she's like, "No way, we're pregnant, remember?" But later on in the film, when she's taking a shower, he like offers her a beer, and she says, "Yeah."
Like, what the hell are you doing? That's just like an act. I'm like, oh. Well, you have to remember though, they're teenagers, and they're going against the rules. So I mean, that's kind of the whole aspect, like you see with not only Friday the 13th, but also several other slasher movies. A killer going out, killing teenagers. Most of them, are breaking the rules basically because it's a common theme in the films where you basically have a group of teenagers, going out to basically an isolated camp completely away from, adult supervision. And then, of course, as you can imagine, they're drinking, they're doing drugs, they're having sex at a young age, they're causing trouble, they're just anything you could think of a troublemaking teenager. And, it's like a killer like Jason, is going to set the record straight. So it's like giving you that type of, it does have that kind of message for teenagers out there, It does. Don't drink until you're 21. Don't be, doing drugs. Don't have sex until you're a teen, until you're 18 or 21 or married. So it really does have that symbolism for it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, in that scene when Debbie, I just remember her name now, Debbie, when she said yes, the moment she said yes to that beer, I'm just like, okay, seriously, now you're just intentionally being stupid.
Exactly. Oh, Jill said she took film class in college.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so taking film class or acting class, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing like when you take film, they have you working like and they always have you work with editing and creative writing, storytelling. They cover all those grounds. Camera work. Yeah. Oh wait.
Here's a question for you, Don.
Oh, here. Did any of the characters have bad omens happen to them after filming, like Poltergeist or Exorcist? I never heard of anything regarding Friday the 13th films. I mean, Bad Omens. Well, I don't know. Well, there was one in one. I wanted to mention this in the actress who played Alice, Adrienne King. I don't know if it's considered a bad omen or not, but she actually did. I have to take a break from acting because right after shooting this film, she actually had a issue with a stalker who was who tracked her down and was slipping Polaroids of what she was doing throughout the day underneath her door. And
what?
I'm just like,
I didn't hear about this before.
I'm just like, okay, that is just creepy.
Wow.
And this was during a time where stalking celebrities was treated like a joke. Wasn't taken seriously back then as it is today, which is shocking to me. But they did catch the guy; he was arrested. But I was horrified reading that. I just thought, I just hope that she's okay, and has managed to overcome the trauma that she's had and managed to move forward with a great life.
Yeah, that's just like, I didn't know anything about that, but I was going to say, as far as I'm concerned, to kind of also answer Emily's question, I don't know of any bad omens that follow for any of the actors or actresses other than that. So the fact of what you just told me, that's brand new. And and yes, it is true. Jeremy says a lot of actresses get stalkers. Now,
yeah, that's the unfortunate reality of things.
It is. I mean, getting involved in films is a lot of fun and it's great, but it does have its risks no matter what type of film you're in, whether it's a horror film or whatever. So, and I will tell you guys this, because Don, I think, now correct me, didn't you meet Adrienne King at Flashback Weekend? See, I did. I actually was fortunate enough to have met Adrienne at Flashback Weekend. She was really nice. So, and it was actually funny. She was actually packing up her table at the con, and so I guess you got to say we got her right at the last minute, and I was able to get a picture with her quickly. So she was really nice. She was really nice.
Oh yeah, one person that we did meet from the Friday the 13th franchise. I will say this was one of the actors who played Jason and has played Jason more times than any other actor in the franchise. Yeah. It is legendary horror actor Kane Hodder.
Yeah, and he is a strong guy. Oh my God. He's got a lot of strength in him.
He does. It's no joke, man. Like because I remember seeing him, he's not, as tall as depicted as Jason in the films, but he has like the build of a bouncer or a wrestler.
I'm actually surprised he hasn't been like a security guard. I mean, yes, there was that scene he was in Jason Goes to Hell, but being a real security guard. And it is true. Kane has killed tattooed inside his lower lip. Wow. Really? I didn't know that.
What?
So we saw him back in 10 years ago in 2012. So, but the one thing that I've always remember, if you remember, Don, when we saw him, what's that?
He was also a security guard in Wishmaster.
Yeah, he was. That's true.
Yes.
The one thing that he did for the longest time, and he did this with us, and this was kind of his trademark, is anytime you got a picture with them, he would literally get a grass and hold your neck basically to make it look like he's strangling you, which I found out.
He's done that to me.
Well,
he has done that to me.
Yeah, he did that to both of us. But from what I've heard, and I don't know if you heard about this, Don, he doesn't really do that anymore as much as he used to, because he's always concerned with, people's health, because not everyone may be able to handle it like we did.
Yep, that is true. Like, like a lot of these Jason actors, they show great concern for the safety of the people that they work with, because obviously you're playing a killer going after these guys, and there's a lot of physical stuff going on in terms of grabbing and whatnot. But, so especially with you just made me think of this this one incident that happened during the production of Friday the 13th Final Chapter, the fourth film. There was this one. You remember that one scene where the girl goes to at nighttime goes to skinny dip inside of the lake?
Yes.
And right before being stabbed right from under the raft.
Yeah.
Well, that actress was forced to do this during winter, so frigid cold waters. There was high risk of hypothermia, and so the actor Ted White, who played Jason.
Oh, that was my phone. I dropped it.
Okay. Well, the actor that played Jason in that, he stood up for her. He told the director that, he said, "Listen, you need to have her come out of the water to warm up in between takes, because if you're going to disregard her safety like this, then I'm walking off the set. I'm done with this role." And they gave in. You know, I was when I read that, I put a smile. There was a smile on my face. I was like,
"Oh, I'm sure."
I was like, "You tell him, Ted White."
Yeah. Now, I wanted to point this out. What Jeremy just pointed. This is another good point. Like, and this goes back to when we were talking about Adrian. Becoming an actor means you pretty much lose all privacy in your life.
Oh yeah, that's not just with obsessed fans. There's also the paparazzi, and now with TMZ.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jill said she didn't do any camera work, unfortunately, but just about all cinema films, the director's interpretations of the films and meaning.
Wow. I've done a bit of that as well.
He needs to do Kip. That lip. It's about one Kane Hodder's lower lip of kill.
But but that is true about Kane Hodder. That the strength that he has, though, like that grip he has when you shake his hand.
It kind of hurts.
It's no joke, man.
You could tell that is a guy who really knows how to keep himself worked up and keeps himself in shape. That's a hard-working guy right there.
Yes.
So here's a question for you, Don. As Emily asked, how many victims did Jason kill throughout his movies?
Well, if I had to guess, I'd say well over 200 if you're counting all those people that were on that space station that blew up in Jason X.
That is true.
He's responsible for hundreds of deaths. He's
a mass serial killer.
He's probably killed more people than anyone has ever serial killer would in real life. So,
I have to admit, I mean, this just gave me this thought, and I should have mentioned about this one. I should have mentioned this early in the show. Is that when you think of especially like the first Friday the 13th and the entire franchise, not only did we always see Jason always killing these kids, in a very bloody, gory fashion. How I said it kind of started the slasher craze. Yeah. You also kind of have to go back with the fact that when Friday the 13th was released during the summer of 1980, Halloween just, had already set the stage 2 years earlier. But yes. Halloween, as great as a film it was really well done made, but it wasn't bloody. It wasn't gory. And that's basically what Friday the 13th was completely the opposite of Halloween, because in Halloween, you barely see a drop of blood. It was like even though there were other movies made even before then that dealt with that gory look to it, this was the first one that really got a lot of attention.
That is very true. And that's because they increased the shock factor, the gore, and they were trying to amp everything up.
It was amazing. And did you ever hear what the fake blood was for what they used for I think for the original and first, actually probably for the first couple films? Did you ever hear what kind of blood they were using for that?
Corn syrup?
No, they were actually using cow blood.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's why it looks so dark red in the film. It's real blood, but it's cow blood that they're using.
Yeah, probably getting mad cow disease after that.
I'm sure they did.
Hey, they're like, Jason got mad cow and had cow blood on him and mad cow disease. That's what happened. That's what happened. So mystery solved.
Yeah. I still can't shake the feeling off too in the original one that Kevin Bacon even decided to take part in this film. Out of all people, Kevin Bacon, really.
Yeah, you'd be amazed at how many people have when they started off with this franchise. There was in Final Chapter, Crispin Glover. You know who that is, right?
Yeah.
He starred in this film, and then later very next year he played George McFly in Back to the Future.
That's right. Right. And then ironically enough, with Nightmare on Elm Street, you had Johnny Depp in the movie.
Yeah, Johnny Depp. Yeah, a lot of people really get their start in horror films more often than you realize. I mean, let's see, there was that, and also Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's right, Jamie Lee Curtis is another one.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Gotta go.
Yeah, Robin said she was leaving, and then Emily wrote this.
Supposed on June 13th,
No, it was 1977. Friday the 13th took place on June 13th, 1979, which in reality was a Wednesday.
Yeah, so it's not a Friday. It's Wednesday the 13th.
Yeah. There was a flashback to June 13th, 1958, which was a Friday.
Ah. Well, hey, so if that was a Wednesday, then the whole franchise should be Wednesday the 13th. We've been lied to.
Well, the one thing more than anything, obviously, is that it all occurred on June 13th, regardless of whatever day it was. And Jeremy answered this question for you, Don. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay. 163 confirmed kills, not including the people on Solaris. Oh, yeah, in the research vessel in Jason X. And not including people in the cornfield in Freddy vs. Jason. Yeah, it's hard to determine how many people he killed in that,
I know.
in that scene with the rave, the whole party. Because, he was just slashing away at everybody. It's hard to say.
This should have been the name for it, Hump Day. That's pretty good.
But yeah, Hump Day, part 2, part 3.
That's funny. That's really funny. How have they not made a horror film with that name yet?
Wasted opportunity.
You know what? Since you and I have done films before, no one's made it yet. We can make it. We can be rich as hell.
Oh yeah. Writing the script on my phone now.
Yeah.
Oh man, but I was going to mention something else. So I did also want to say how the Jason actors, how they care about the other fellow cast members on the set. I should say what?
Oh, Horrorville called Hump Day, hold my Sprite.
or your Pepsi.
Yeah. Hey, you know me, I'm more of a Sprite drinker.
Anyway, I wanted to say about in final chapter. That's that there was this one scene that where Ted White was also concerned about the actor Corey Feldman, where there was this one stunt that he had to do that Corey Feldman did not know about, and that was the stunt where he breaks through the window and grabs him and grabs Corey.
Yeah, I remember that scene. It was in the shower, I think, right?
He wasn't in a shower. No, he was right.
Oh, no. I'm thinking of later in that film, which does happen, but okay.
No, you're thinking about where it's in the first floor of a house, and he just Jason breaks through the window and grabs Tommy. That's his character's name, Tommy. And Corey Feldman did not know this was going to happen because that just to make sure that they did that to make sure that he has a genuine, real response.
Right.
So that freaking out you saw him do, that was really Corey Feldman. He was just like, "Let me go, get him off," like that. Yeah, that was real.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably took him completely by surprise
but
that's something you see in a lot of horror films. Sometimes you'll see they won't tell particular upcoming scenes because they want to get that genuine reaction.
Yeah, that is true. They've done that. That's a standard. That's what they usually do very often in horror films. Oh, my favorite example of that is in Alien. You know the iconic chestburster scene, right?
Yeah.
None
it's
of the
painful to watch.
None of the actors knew that was going to happen.
I wouldn't be the least bit surprised.
So their response to that was genuine. Yeah, they didn't know. And also, they did the same thing also in the first Friday the 13th when Alice, Adrienne King, when she was leaving the shack or this this place where they're keeping the generator, when she was looking for Bill.
Yeah, the generator area.
Yeah. Closing the door and seeing the Bill,
Bill,
pinned against the door with the arrows. She wasn't expecting. They didn't tell her that was going to happen. So her response was real.
That's what I love. When honestly, this is just my personal opinion. But when you're making a horror film and you're getting those genuine shots without ever telling the actors or actresses of what they're going to be expecting next, this is just my opinion. That is real horror right there, then, because you're actually making not only the audience scared, but you're actually going as far as to making even the actors and actresses themselves scared. So it's almost as I would say, a type of feeling that nobody is safe, whether you're watching the film or if you're in the film.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And
Now,
what else? Like
Jill said she liked Kevin Bacon. He was also in Stir of Echoes almost 20 years later.
Yeah, I personally loved him in Tremors. Another
Tremors, another one out 10 years later, 1990.
1990, and then 10 years after that, Hollow Man.
Hollow Man, that's another one.
In a horror film every 10 years, apparently.
And then, of course, not necessarily horror, it does have some horror themes too. Then again, in another 10 years, this is not a movie, it was a television series. He was also in The Following.
Yeah.
Billy's asking, have you heard about the lawsuit involving ownership of the franchise?
Oh, yeah. Like, there have been companies going to war with each other, like, for the franchise. I mean, there was, like, this started off as a Paramount. Paramount originally owned Friday the 13th, and then New Line got a hold of it, starting with Jason Goes to Hell. And now it's just getting even more crazy.
It's been switching hands, in other words. And then Emily thought of another. How about Monster Squad? It's her favorite. There's another one for you.
Yep, I'm familiar with it. I remember seeing it when I was a teenager. Like when I was, when I was right before starting college, and I saw on Comcast on demand, they had it there. That's where I watched it. Yep. Wolfman's got nards. Line ever. Best line ever.
That's the whole Victor Miller getting the rights we were discussing. Yeah, that's
true. Yes, that's true. Because I don't know, like what I was trying to say is like the rights to the franchise is something that everybody's been struggling with for a while.
Oh yeah,
Cujo.
I don't remember Kevin Bacon in Cujo.
No, he wasn't.
I don't think he was in that movie.
No, he wasn't.
I can't say Menards without laughing.
Menards.
Can I also say something else really quickly? Like it was involving like, how, it's kind of something involving when you were talking about the reactions with these films. The actress who played Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah, what was her name? Betsy Palmer.
Betsy Palmer, thank you. It was like right at the tip of my tongue. She had, which of course, obviously, as we all know, she passed away a number of years ago.
Yep.
But she had explained on many occasions, like when she was interviewed or something, like involving the first film.
Right.
She, not necessarily the reaction, but and this was almost like a trademark thing that she always said, when being interviewed, was that when she first got the script, she thought the film at first was a bit of dread, and that it was never going to be seen. So, it's amazing how, like when you make a film like that and it becomes really not only one of the most famous, but also one of the scariest slasher films of all time.
Oh, yeah. She had like no faith in the film at all when she first heard about it.
And it proved her wrong.
Yeah. It just never, if anything, it just proves you never know with some films.
Exactly.
And people argue like, this is probably not the best script, or we don't have enough money for this, or anything like that. But it's like, you don't have to have like like you just never know with some films.
Really, definitely. You always do sometimes have that feeling like saying, oh, come on, man, this has been done before. It's not really well written, or no one's ever going to see it. And then all of a sudden, it becomes a very well-known film.
Yep. And many of them get cult statuses over the years.
Oh, yeah, they definitely. So even if it doesn't start out well, they eventually do get that cult status.
Yeah, there are some that have not done well financially, but still get remembered for years. The years following, like this, for example.
If you don't know why I'm laughing about Menards, I will not date you.
Yeah, Nick. This for example.
The Blob
did poorly in the box office, but there's so much to love about this film: the effects, the characters, and just overall the insane amount of chilling gore and creature effect, everything that's been thrown into this, as opposed to the original. This and that, all that makes this a very memorable film. It doesn't have. I mean, a movie doesn't have to make millions of dollars to be good and remembered for all time.
Exactly, and that's even something you see in other slasher films. Like they may have not done well, may have not done well in the box office, and then as time eventually goes by, they achieve this cult status, and it just seems like that's just something you just typically see with a lot of films that were made like especially in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So, what I always question myself is, what exactly does these films in particular do to eventually achieve cult status, even after several years after they were released? And they weren't well made, they didn't do well in the box office.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. But I will say, but the only thing I find bad as far as Friday the 13th, the worst possible thing that has ever come from this. You want to know what that is?
Oh God, should I be scared? Should I get an adult?
It is the NES Friday the 13th game.
Oh yes, I know exactly that game. That is terrible.
That was horrible. That was probably the worst game I've ever played as far as NES. And I'll be honest with you, I played it years ago, like when I was like 18, over at a flea market down in over in California, and there was this arcade machine that played all kinds of NES emulators. And I looked at went down the list. There was like hundreds of things on there, and Friday the 13th was one of them. I was like, okay, I love the movie, so I'll play the game. Played it for 10 minutes, not a minute, not a second longer than that. And immediately I found, okay, I'm going down the left, down this path to like the left, but I end up going onto the right, like east, like going western, but it takes me east.
It was like a terribly made game, and Jeremy said he tried playing that game, but couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah, and like it was confusing as all hell. Like I couldn't. And right when I go finally fight Jason, he just kills you and then kills you again. Like I was like, after 10 minutes, I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. I cannot freaking play this.
That's just like, what the hell were they thinking? Like, it was quite clear to me that they had not tested that game out before release.
No, but if there's one good thing that came out of it, it is the remake, Friday the 13th game, which just released a few years ago. Now that I liked.
That was good, because I know you show me that, and the majority of the time, all you're just doing is stalking and carrying on the tradition. You're stalking and killing teenagers.
Yeah, if you're playing as Jason, you also have the option to play as teenagers, survivors. You have to hide from Jason and try to escape. Yeah, so.
That's an awesome game either way.
I like it how it gives you that concept, but also they throw in like incredibly accurate locations, like from the movies. Let's for example, the camp counselor, the training center. I don't think that's actually a thing in real life, but anyway, from part 2, like everything was so incredibly detailed, it was insane.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. All right. See. A side note, since I'm brunette, I remember watching Friday the 13th when I was young and wishing I was blonde, because it seemed like it was the blonde that always lived, which of course was not the case at all.
No. Like I feel like blonde women get killed in more horror films now than ever.
I know they've really been really been going like all different directions nowadays with the final girl.
Yeah, like what do horror films have against blonde people these days?
That's what I've always wondered for the longest time.
I don't know about you, Nick, but I'm keeping my hair black.
And I'll be keeping mine, my dark brown. Well, looks black on camera, but it's actually dark brown in color.
Yeah, I mean, I used to have dark brown hair. I used to have brown hair, but then it just turned black as I aged.
My hair actually used to be more black in color, to be honest with you.
Oh, so we're opposite. Okay. No hair dyes are going into this. Nothing. So thank you, you guys. You just gave me a whole new reason why I will never change my hair color.
Can I also say, all this talk about, again, these different Friday the 13th films, including the 4th one. Yep. I don't know about you, Don. Now you tell me what you think after I tell you this, but with the 4th one, which, of course, obviously was supposed to be the original final chapter. Yep. Did you think that they should have ended the series from that point forward, or did you think that there was still a lot of potential for when they made part 5, like a year or 2 years later?
Yeah, part 5 I was not too crazy about, but part 6, now that actually did have potential. Like showing like bringing back Jason as this supernatural being. And also, and I will say this leads me to another point. A lot of people like to categorize Jason as a zombie, which I don't think is very accurate, because zombie would imply that he was brought back from some sort of a plague or from some voodoo practice, like under control from another entity, from another person. But that was clearly not the case with Jason. Like it seems that Jason always comes back with a purpose, and that purpose is his revenge, to taking out anybody that enters his territory. So he seems to have the more of a characteristics of a revenant.
Yeah, I was going to say to me, I thought he was more of a revenant than like an actual zombie. And just because they have that undead appearance doesn't mean that they're always a zombie all the time, especially because put it this way, zombie is basically one with a lot of times usually non-intelligence, kind of like what you see in the classic George A. Romero films. You can't talk to a zombie. You can't reason with a zombie. All they want is your flesh. With Jason, he still has that memory, so I could understand why he's more of a revenant than a zombie, definitely.
Oh yeah,
and Jeremy just pointed this out. It wasn't until the sixth film that Jason came back from the dead.
Yep, came back Frankenstein style, because struck by lightning.
Yeah, exactly. And in my opinion, and again, this is just me, but when when you start watching if you watched all the movies together, yes, you personally don't really get scared about it, because it's the same thing over and over again, but it's still a lot of fun. So what I'm basically saying is, to me, Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, I think was probably the last one where I actually thought it was kind of scary, because now that years have passed since I've seen them all, except for the eighth one, I think it was much more scarier when Jason was actually human, like when he was actually alive and not this undead revenant. So, to me, I think after final chapter, to me, the series was still fun, but to me, it just wasn't as scary as the original, first four films. So I think the fourth one was really the last to have like an actual like scary theme to the movies.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's right.
Put it this way.
But I will. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like I was just gonna say, like, it's like crazy how they just throw in. They said final chapter, and then the next year they throw in another. They say new beginning. Yeah. It's like final chapter, and then Final Friday with Jason Goes to Hell. They call it Final Friday. So they lied to us twice.
Yeah, because then almost 10 years later, then you had Jason X, and then Freddy versus Jason. So it's like they just didn't know when to stop. So that's why, again, I think the original franchise from Part 1 of 4 was the scariest. Because again, the scariest thing more than anything else, and this is the reason why I think the original franchise is frightening, is us. We're probably the scariest thing more than anything else as humans, and that's basically what Jason was. He wasn't an undead entity at that time. He was a fully alive human that manages to escape death until the fourth movie. So that's why I think the first four movies are far more scarier than the later series, which is still a lot of fun, but just not as scary as the first four.
Yep. Like final chapter just marks like his final chapter as a human being, because at the hands of Tommy Jarvis, who would go on to would become his arch enemy. And I forgot to mention about Corey Feldman in this. One last thing about him is that how the scene where he shaved his head like to completely make himself look like Jason as a kid, like based on the newspaper clippings. He actually Corey Feldman actually wore a bald cap. He didn't actually shave his head.
Oh, I figured he was. I figured it was a bald cap.
When when they had to do that to have Tommy distract Jason while Trish takes the machete, knocks his mask off. See his
knocks it off, and you see his like horribly not only deformed but kind of mutilated face.
Yep, and then Tommy takes that machete and just takes out his eye.
Whams it.
And they oh my god, like seriously, Tom Savini like does an amazing job with the effects when it shows like the machete just going down.
That's just the word. You just gotta love Tom Savini for the work that he did in those movies, because he is. I mean, I don't think he does it as much anymore because understandably he's at an older age now, but he was really kind of one of the true masters of gory effects for the 80s and not for the late 70s, 80s, and 90s.
True facts, man. And it's crazy how and what I will say this, I do like how Jason's face changes, like it's more and more decayed over time, like after the events of part 6, because you don't really see that much of his face. It's like obscured by shadows in part 6 when he comes like out of the grave after being brought back. But you could tell it was horribly rotted after spending years in the dirt. But
just like any body would. So because
I did manage to find this. Yeah, but I did manage to find this. Somebody actually was creating like a figurine of him unmasked. In let me see if I can find where is that?
As you're looking, Jeremy said the fit to him was pretty scary because someone was copycatting and no one knew what was going on. And this was something we were talking about earlier because he said they never did explain why Jason's face was the way it was. Was it a birth deformity?
Could have been.
Well, we said that it could have been hydrocephalus that he may have had.
Here, I actually came across this right here. Hang on. Like this is like about what they believe he looked like in part 6.
This ought to be interesting.
Do you see it?
No, not yet. Are you sharing the screen?
Oh, I thought I am. Hold on, hang on. Oh, I forgot to click this. Yeah. Okay, hang on. Do you see it now?
Nothing yet.
Browser.
Wait, what did you press the share screen?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What feature are you on when you're on the menu?
I just go to share screen.
Go to so here's how this works. Go to the feature where it says window, where it has those 3 features to it, enter screen, window, and whatever platform you're using. Go to window.
It's not showing window.
What does it have on your message? Because there's entire screen.
Yeah.
You want tab. That's what Jeremy's saying.
Okay. Let's see. Share. It's not showing tab. It's showing slides, extra camera, video file, and share screen. That's it.
Go to. Okay, hang on. Let's go to share screen.
Okay.
Okay. So what features are? Yeah, there's 3. Yeah, there's 3 features. The center one should be. Yep. There you go. Now you got it. Oh.
Yeah, like this is what they estimate he looked like when he rose from the grave in part 6.
Wow.
This looks pretty accurate. So
that's pretty. I have to admit that's pretty well done art for Jason's rotten face.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's from that moment forward where Jason became an undead entity.
So. Do I have to learn this too for Thursday, or just join your room? Jill's gonna she's talking about, because Jill's actually gonna be a guest on our show Supernatural Talk this upcoming Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, nice, cool.
I think you still have the share screen done.
Do I? Oh yeah, here's
there you go.
I thought I turned it off. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, and I like how in part 7, I felt like I was kind of strange though, because they were trying to make it into like a Carrie versus Jason, because it had this character Tina who had telekinesis and like was trying to overcome guilt about her father's death because because she feels responsible because her powers like caused him to like fall into the lake and drown.
Yeah, so, to me, I wasn't, as far as I'm concerned, I wasn't very crazy about Friday the 13th Part 7. I just thought that was,
but
the killings were still cool, but I just wasn't as crazy as I thought I was going to.
Yeah. But it's the first film where Kane Hodder plays Jason.
That is true. That's the debut of Jason.
Yeah,
I also have Kane Hodder playing Jason.
Oh yeah, that's true. So there's that. Aside from like, even though it is a pretty silly entry of the franchise, it does give us Kane Hodder. That's like one saving grace it does have. So
hey, what the hell was it with the end of the movie when she resurrects that dead body in the lake? Like, how the hell did she even do that in the first place? He rises up and grabs Jason underwater. Like, what in the hell was? I mean, I remember laughing, and afterwards, I'm like, what in the hell was that all about?
She brought back her dad to take down Jason. That was supposed to be her dad.
I'm like, well, she moves things with her mind. How on earth is she able to bring a dead body back to life? That's my real question.
How does telekinesis do that? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's what I wonder. Like, does she have some other special power out there that, you know, she's finally revealing for the first time, that she could bring the dead back and have him under her control or something?
Yep, never explained.
Zombie killing zombie. Good way to end the film. And yeah, I do.
Zombie on zombie violence.
Yeah, zombie on zombie violence must end.
Like how
she ripped his mask off. That was pretty cool. Ripping the mask off.
I like how they revealed his face, because I feel like with his face, like Kane Hodder really became one with the makeup, able to show like these expressions, especially like when the fight takes place in the basement between Tina and Jason, and pours kerosene, or I think gasoline, whatever that was, a flammable liquid anyway, on him, and was opening the furnace up. He made this expression to her, being like, "Oh hell no!" I just love that bit. He just gave her that look, like, "Oh, you better not." Oh man, it's like, even though he can't talk, he still has means of expressing himself.
It's like sign language he's using. If we're using his facial expressions.
Let me see if I can find that bit. Hang on one second. You know what? Let me see if I can find that. Hang on.
That would be awesome if you were able to find it.
I'm sure they have it on YouTube. Hang on.
It's got to be on YouTube.
13th 7. I'm just gonna say 7. They'll know what I'm talking about. Let's see. And yep, they do.
You found it?
Yeah, I found it.
Right.
Like, okay, here, we'll just go to this bit, and I'll share the screen again. Let me just go to, let's see. Oh, come on, I was just doing this. How do I keep forgetting this?
I know, it's a little bit tough when you start sharing for the first time.
Okay, here, share screen. Okay, this bit right here.
Oh.
Okay,
right.
Okay. Now look at that. Now here's this. The expression right here.
You just don't even think about it, pal.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, he's just like, oh, hell no. And sets him ablaze. And does it kill him? No.
Yeah, because he's a revenant.
Yeah, it's like you killed him, you set him on fire, and it blows up the house. And
it destroys the house, but it doesn't kill him.
Nope. And it takes her powers to revive her dead father to kill him.
Yeah, that, like I said, I'm still trying to question the debate. Like, how in the hell was he able to actually do that? But here's the real question, too. Here's another good question. If her dad had died a number of years ago,
right,
wouldn't he also have that same kind of like bloated, kind of decayed look to him? I mean, he looked like he was completely normal underwater. I mean, There's no way a body could last like that for that long, especially if it's resting on the side of a bottom of a lake. It would be like decayed and bloated.
Yeah, he had been dead for years before those events in that film.
Yeah, so how the hell is he still like mid condition? Because again, first time I saw it, I wasn't sure. I was even asking too, like, who the hell is that guy?
Yeah, that's the thing. This film does the franchise. They introduced some pretty crazy stuff without explanation.
And again, same thing with the powers. Like I said, how on earth was she able to bring him back from the dead? There's no way that could have not been telekinesis. She must have used something else. I'm sorry, but she must have used something else that she may have just discovered when doing that.
And I forgot to mention this before. I like how when they brought back this new Jason, Revenant Jason in Part 6, like very first thing he does, like not only does he have an undead appearance, but it demonstrates superhuman abilities. Like right when he's being when Tommy's friend, I believe his name was Hawes, hits him in the head. I believe it was a shovel. Yep. Barely faces him, turns around, pushes his fist right through Hawes, right to the other side, and has his heart in his hand.
Yeah, he's got like superhuman strength despite his decayed look to him.
Yep. So he's basically giving him the Indiana Jones Temple of Doom treatment. Kalima.
What's really fun is we are going from Jason Voorhees to try to contact Walt Disney.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it looks like Jason learned long before Indiana Jones did.
Yep. Hey, I would say, Paramount doesn't Paramount own Indiana Jones though?
I think they do.
I believe so. Yeah. You don't think Disney's going to buy Paramount, do you?
I don't think they. Well, I mean, truth be told, Disney's trying to buy everything, but yeah, I don't think they're going to get Paramount.
Yeah, no. I mean, when I think back to when they bought 20th Century Fox, yeah, like obviously for like some of the kids related content and like also for The Simpsons, that also came with a whole bunch of things that were not for kids, such as the Alien franchise, the Die Hard franchise, Predator, long list of other things.
A lot of different stuff that wasn't meant for kids.
It's like really, Disney, you seriously want to expose kids to that?
They don't know what they're doing anymore. That's all I got to say.
But
I love Jill's response. Oh yeah, busy night.
But yeah, I wanted to mention this about Jason. Like his appearance all constantly changes throughout the franchise, but I think what they really dropped the ball was with Jason X, because I did not like how they transformed Jason into a cyborg.
Yeah, I know. It was just like, I didn't expect that. I really didn't.
It's like, okay, I'm willing to accept some changes, like him going from like a normal human, but to a revenant. But it's like, sure, but a cyborg, just no. I'm sorry, no.
Which to me almost looked like a ripoff of the Terminator, in my opinion. Yeah, he does have that. He does have a Terminator look to him and and Jason X.
Yeah. Oh wait,
Disney's been exposing the kids for things for that. Oh yeah, we do have to end this.
You gotta wrap
no, he doesn't. I got to talk to him about that. We'll talk after the show.
Yes. So we're going to wrap this up in a minute. There's one thing I wanted to put on here. Disney has been exposing kids to things for decades. Yep, they have been. Long list of crazy things, including some aspects that do not age well to this day. Not just in terms of violence, but also in racism as well.
Yeah,
things that do not age well.
All right. Yeah, there is a horror film of Winnie the Pooh. So yes, and Emily, we'll talk about that next time.
Oh.
I'll tell you about it afterwards.
Oh yeah, this I gotta hear.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh. I can promise you that.
Hey, if they were able to make a horror film out of banana splits, I'm willing to believe anything.
We were talking about that actually on the 13th Dimension.
Yep. No, yes, we're gonna have to wrap this up here.
Yeah.
Wish we can go for longer like we did last time, but
yeah, Greg's show is next. Just really quickly for tomorrow's episode, the Nick Files. It's actually going to be the final episode of season 1. So after I do this episode tomorrow, I am going to be taking a hiatus from doing the show on Wednesday. Of course, obviously, I'll still be doing the show here with Don. I'll still be on Supernatural Talk and also on the 13th Dimension with Jeremy. So I'm going to try to bring this, because now I'm running out of presentation. So I need time to start putting some new ones, new documents and presentations together. And hopefully I'll try to get season 2 up by the late September, early October Halloween season. I already do have a Halloween special for that particular occasion, so it's already done. But I got to work on more presentations. So, and then Thursday Supernatural Talk, we got Jill Jade coming on, and then for the 13th Dimension, we have I can't remember who we have on, but he runs out of money, goes on a murderous rampage. You'll have to remind me later, Jeremy, of who we have on for Friday the 13th Dimension. So, but yeah, tomorrow night will be the last episode of my show of season 1.
One thing we do need to mention, though, next week on Tuesday, there will not be another episode of this horror podcast for the coming Tuesday because, I'm going to be vacationing with the family. But I will return the following Tuesday and with a whole new topic, and I can't wait to see you guys there.
Yeah, so 2 weeks from now, because Don's going to be heading out of town. So, we'll be back here in 2 weeks.
Yes. So hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys again in 2 weeks.
And I'll see some of you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night for my show.
Looking forward to it, Nick. All right. So good night, everybody. And just watch out for Jason.
Have a good night.